Hey Ringside crew. Welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe, Panther the Third.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am your host, Joe the Panther the Third, and man, we're in the middle of this awesome month where I give the flowers to the women's wrestlers that really don't get the flowers. And now, introducing my guest for tonight. Introduce yourself.
My name, for those that do not know me, is EVIE de la ROSA. You have to drag your R's appropriately, Joe.
Yes, of course. Being with the Latin culture, you know, I love my Latin wrestlers. They make me feel so happy. They make me think of the beautiful that island that
they warm your heart.
One part of my heart, and all the rice and beans coming to me as I think about it. So
from the skies.
let's explain to my American wrestling fans, what is it like to be a Latin wrestler in this world of the professional wrestling these days?
It is amazing. I'm going to tell you why I think it's amazing, because where I come from, the wrestling is part of our culture. We grow up, just like in Mexico, we grow up watching wrestling. And when I say watching wrestling, I mean, for the most part, watching wrestling from the island, from Puerto Rico. It wasn't until, obviously, WWF turned into WWE, they started broadcasting in Puerto Rico, that we started, looking at these big WWE companies and other companies. But before them, we had wrestling in the island. The people love wrestling. Being in a show on the island is a completely different experience. And I think anyone that wrestles there can attest to that.
Awesome. So what made you get into this big wrestling world? Like what was some of your inspirations? Like who and what?
Yeah, so like I said, watching wrestling since I was a teeny tiny little girl, watching wrestling on TV. There was a woman wrestler back then from Puerto Rico. She's called La Tigresa, like the tigress. And she was this badass character, badass personality that would wrestle professionally, would wrestle guys, beat up people. And when I saw her on TV, I was like maybe 10 or 12. I said, I think I can do what she's doing better. And from then on, I started going to the shows, looking for schools. I joined schools, and the rest is history.
Awesome. So who trained you?
Funny story. So my first trainer was Mil Muertes, or El Mesías. Mil Muertes was in Underground, Lucha Underground. Yeah. And El Mesías, when he was in Puerto Rico, so he was my first coach. I had some other legendary coaches from Puerto Rico. And then when I moved to the States, currently I train with Slick Warner Brown. He's one of the Killer Kowalski guys up here in East Hartford. But I've trained with Antonio Tomas, who was in WWE, Kevin Laundry, also from WWE. I've never stopped training throughout my professional wrestling career. I think you never stop learning. So I had a bunch of trainers.
Excuse me. So what was your energy like the first time you set foot in your training facility? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Like, what was it like?
I was excited, man, not nervous. I've never been nervous once I step into the ring. Maybe before, yes, but once I was in the ring, I was excited. I was like, let's do this. Let's have a match on the first day. Obviously it doesn't work like that. Work like that. Yeah, no, it took me, I think I was learning the falls, how to break the fall for the first month, and running the ropes and the whole back bruised. It was training with Mil Muertes was like total death. It was really, really, really difficult to train. But that's how I learned, the first years of my career.
Oh wow. So what was it like let's go a little further. What was
Mhm.
it like what was it like for you in your very first match, and what was your theme song? If you
I
remember.
don't remember of my themes. I don't
No.
remember my theme song, not at all. But my first match, so I had a bunch of matches in training, right? Like you always do, part of your practice. But my first match was actually a tryout for IWA, Puerto
Mm,
Rico. And it was a tag match. And I was the only female because back in the day in the island, there weren't many women wrestlers.
mm.
So I was the only wrestler on the match. And that was actually my tryout for the company for which I think my name is covering. But that's the company for which I am currently the champion,
Oh, show
IWA
that
Puerto
beautiful
Rico.
baby off. There
Isn't
we
it?
go.
Isn't it beautiful?
And it has our flag on there, has every that
It
should be
has. It's International Wrestling Association.
well,
There you
this
go.
well, this podcast is the internationally known home of champions. So
There
like
you go. It
and
was suited that I come and join you
of
here.
course that belt
Oops.
like the dudes at ringside logo needs to be right in the middle of that world. I need to be like this in the middle of the title. It's like the dudes at ringside championship.
There we go.
It has all the flags. It kind of fits in the gotta tell
It
the
fits
owner.
for the podcast. Yeah.
You have to just like get a magnet of me and just like well since
Stick it in there.
you'll be champion for a billion years, so you're gonna just have to like get a magnet of me just like
You know
put
what? Take a screenshot of when I showed it, and then just
oh yeah,
do a
just
call out, and then just put yourself in there.
your manager your owner's gonna
Promote
be
it that way.
get him off that belt. Just get that those glasses
It's
look great.
promotion. Promotion is promotion, man.
Yeah, you get Joe off that belt. He looks at those glasses. No. So
Savio is one of the owners of the company, Savio Vega. So
I
he
love
might
Savio
he
Vega.
might visit you and give you some candlesticks if he sees you doing that.
I'll be like, Savio, you were my first favorite wrestler in the Attitude Era. No.
Forgive me.
Forgive me. You're the one that got me to love wearing my Puerto Rico tank top every time in the 90s.
Yes.
No.
Savio is great. Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. So, like, out of watching all these wrestlers, male and female, like, is there anybody that you've been watching exclusively on, like, on the Instagrams or the X's or Facebooks that you really
Mm,
want to work with, but you haven't had the opportunity to do that yet?
I admire Thunder Rosa wrestling style, Mercedes Martinez. I think by me telling you those two names, I think you can get a sense of the style that I like from wrestling. Is that I think I watched their matches. Not Thunder Rosa is back, but I've watched a lot of Mercedes Martinez matches and style. I love Serena Deeb. I think she's a master in the ring. See, that's what attracts me from wrestling: the storytelling, the working, the structure of the match. That's what my focus or interest has always been, and not so much the pizzazz or the high spots or whatnot. So I would say them two I truly admired. Yeah.
Let's go into it. You said you have a show coming up. Let's talk about it.
Yes. So the show is in February. There's a couple of shows. The show in February. Well, actually, I think by the time this airs, I have a show on Sunday, January the 14th, at one of the other companies. I think you can see here. This is the other.
What? Show that baby off. That's another beauty.
This is a beast.
Ooh, look at that. That'd be a nasty weapon right there.
Oh, it's spiky. It's spiky. So a little bit of story. This was in honor of China. So this is the TOS Women's Championship. So the show is on TOS, which is Test of Strength in East Hartford, Connecticut. And then in February, the IWA celebrates the 25th anniversary of the company back in Puerto Rico. And there's a bunch of other shows. I also represent Pioneer Valley Pro Wrestling. I'm the champion there. Powerhouse Wrestling in Massachusetts, so also the champion there. There's a bunch of companies that I work for, mainly this two that I have the championships for. But if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, I put in there all the upcoming shows and wherever I'm gonna be in the United States.
Awesome. So is there like any places in the country or the world that you have not put your like fingerprint into yet that you've been wanting to get to?
I I want to go to either or both Canada or Spain.
Mm.
Those are the two that I've looked at some of the companies in Canada and Spain. Fortunately, haven't had the time, I'm gonna say, to
Mm.
go, but I think I'm gonna make the time this year to give a little tour. Maybe just one or two shows here and there if I can. I have to. It's complicated when you participate in so many companies to split your time between the companies. The shows are always on the weekends. We have so many weekends on a month, so it gets complicated. But I'm gonna try this year.
So, like, with you being a wrestler, what is your normal schedule like the week of a show?
Well, I have my normal job too, my 8 to 5. So my Monday to Friday I work. I have a class or training 2 days a week, if I can make it, right? And then on the weekend you have, and in between that you have your normal exercise routine for those of us that do train outside of. I have my gym luckily in my house, so I can train. I have a ring in my house too, so I can also train.
Wow.
Yeah. It's an investment, but it's worth it.
Oh, geez.
And then I have school or class or the dojo twice a week if you can make it. And then on the weekends you have either Saturdays and Sundays show, so you drive whatever, how many hours, train in the morning, go to the show, come back, sleep, and repeat the next day. That's the life of a wrestler.
Mm. So
Yep.
for you, sorry, I mean to interrupt you.
Mhm.
For you, like going to the shows, do you have to like the day of a show? Do you have to like prepare your own dinners or lunches, like lunch and dinner, breakfast, lunch and dinner, or do you like when you go to the town, do you like prep out and check out what's around to buy like breakfast for like
Mhm.
lunch and dinner, or do you like?
So it depends on how far it is. And I'm going to tell you my preference. I have my breakfast, and then after breakfast, at whatever time it is, 8, 9 in the morning, I only have either a protein bar or a protein shake, which you can bring with you. And I do not like to eat anything before a match.
Mm,
I've seen too many accidents.
yeah.
A bad punch in the stomach, and you're gonna be throwing up in the ring. That's gonna change your life forever. So I prefer not to eat anything. I might grab something after the show, but breakfast, protein bar. You can drink. You can leave on coffee or
Yeah.
caffeinated, energy drinks or whatever, and then after the show, then yeah, knock yourself out. But mostly protein bars or protein shakes.
So like if my fans want to, if the Ringside crew wants to follow you on social media, how
Mhm.
can they follow you? And if you have any merch, um with how can they find it? And if you have any shows, the time to that question, it's like let's my fans want to come to see you at a show, how can they
Mhm.
find it?
So social media, mostly active on Instagram. So it's EVIE_de la Rosa in Instagram. In Facebook, there's 2 pages, but I just can't manage 2 pages. So just follow the athlete one, Evie de la Rosa, just like that. I'm not in Twitch or the X or whatever. And then merchandise, I only have 8x10. So if you're interested, DM me on Instagram or Facebook and I can, get it to you. And the shows, again, on the 14th, Test of Strength, on February the 4th, IWA 25-year anniversary in Puerto Rico. There's another show in February. Forgive me, but I forgot. But if you follow me, I post in there where I'm going to be showing up for any shows or companies.
I want to thank you so much for taking this opportunity to come on the
Thank
podcast with me. This was so much fun. I would definitely love to have you come back on the podcast later in the year so we can update what you're doing, and maybe you'll have all your championship belts behind you and have more.
Maybe I have. Currently, I have 5. Maybe I'll fill my other hand
Oh, geez.
and half. Do you imagine that?
You'll be like the what's his name that was on AEW? What's his face? What's his name?
I have no
He had
idea.
all the belts. He had all the belts for a while. They did the One Arm Angel.
From AEW?
Yeah, AEW. What's his name? Kenny. You'd be like Kenny Omega.
Oh, Kenny. Yeah.
You'll be
Kenny.
like Kenny.
Maybe.
I love candy.
Bam, bam.
Who doesn't love candy?
It's brilliant. Yeah, but thank you, man. Thank you for having me. It's been a blast. So, yep.
I'm Joe Panther the Third,
EVIE de la ROSA.
and we will catch you in the next one.